Hello, we are back with the mouse and the motorcycle. The last time we left off in the middle of chapter 2, which is called the motorcycle. So we're going to keep going with that. Okay, a mouse lives not by crumbs alone, and so Ralph experienced still another emotion. This time, food was not the cause of it. Ralph was eager, excited, curious, and impatient all at once. The emotion was so strong, it made him forget his empty stomach. It was caused by those little cars, especially that motorcycle and the sound the boy had made. That sound seemed to satisfy something within Ralph, as if he had been waiting all his life to hear it. Went the boy. To the mouse, the sound spoke of highways and speed, of distance and danger, and whiskers blown back by the wind. The instant the family left the room to go to dinner, Ralph scurried out of the mouse hole and across the threadbare carpet to the telephone cord, which came out of a hole in the floor beside the bedside table. "Ralph!" scolded his mother from the mouse hole. "You stay away from that telephone cord!" Ralph's mother was a great worrier. She worried because their hotel was old and run down, and because so many rooms were often empty with no careless guests to leave crumbs behind for the mice. She worried about the rumor that their hotel was to be torn down when the new highway came through. So there's a picture of Ralph running out of his hole. She worried about her children finding aspirin tablets. Ralph's father had tried to carry an aspirin tablet in his cheek pouch. The aspirin had dissolved with unexpected suddenness, and Ralph's father had been poisoned. Since then, no member of the family would think of touching an aspirin tablet. But this did not prevent Ralph's mother from worrying. Most of all, Ralph's mother worried about Ralph. She worried because he was a reckless mouse who stayed out late in the daytime when he should have been home safe in bed. She worried when Ralph climbed the curtain to sit on the windowsill to watch the chipmunks in the pine tree outside and the cars in the parking lot below. She worried because Ralph wanted to go exploring down the hall, instead of traveling under the floorboards like, a sensible mouse. Where am I? Here we go. Heaven only knew what dangers he might meet in the hall. Maids, bellboys, perhaps even cats. Or what was worse, vacuum cleaners. Ralph's mother had a horror of vacuum cleaners. I think that kind of means like a phobia, like a fear of them. Ralph, who was used to his mother's worries, got a good running start and was already halfway up the telephone cord. "Remember your Uncle Victor?" his mother called after him. Ralph seemed not to hear. He climbed the cord, up the telephone, jumped down, and ran around the row of cars. This is what on the end. There it was on the end. The motorcycle! Ralph stared at it and then walked over and kicked a tire. Close up, the motorcycle looked even better than he had expected. It was new and shiny and had a good set of tires. Ralph walked all the way around it, examining the pair of chromium mufflers and the engine and the hand clutch. It even had a little license plate, so it would be legal to ride it. "Boy," said Ralph to himself, his whiskers quivering with excitement. "Boy, oh boy!" Feeling that this was an important moment in his life, he took hold of the hand grips. They felt good and solid beneath his paws. Yes, this motorcycle was a good machine, all right. He could tell by the feel. Ralph threw a leg over the motorcycle and sat jauntily on the plastic seat. He even bounced up and down. The seat was curved just right to fit a mouse. But how to start the motorcycle? Ralph didn't know, and even if he did know how to start it, he could not do much writing up here on the bedside table. He considered pushing the motorcycle off onto the floor, but he did not want to risk damaging such a valuable machine. Here's an illustration of Ralph checking out the motorcycle on the bedside table. Ralph bounced up and down on the seat a couple more times, and he looked around for some way to start the motorcycle. He pulled at a lever or two, but nothing happened. Then a terrible thought spoiled his pleasure. This was only a toy. It would not run at all. Ralph, who had watched many children in room 215, had picked up a lot of information about toys. He had seen a boy from Cedar Rapids throw his model airplane on the floor because he could not make its plastic parts fit properly. A little girl had burst into tears and run sobbing to her mother when her doll's arm had come out of its socket. And then there was the nice boy, the potato chip nibbler, who stamped his foot because the batteries kept falling out of his car. But this toy could not be like all of those other toys he had seen. It looked too perfect, with its wire spokes in its wheels and its pair of shiny chromium exhaust pipes. It would not be right if it did not run. It would not be fair. A motorcycle that looked as real as this had to run. The secret of making it run must be perfectly simple. If only Ralph had someone to show him what it was. Ralph was not satisfied, just sitting on the motorcycle. Ralph craved action. After all, what was a motorcycle for if it wasn't action? Who needed motorcycle lessons? Not Ralph. He tried pushing himself along with his feet. This was not nearly fast enough, but it was better than nothing. He moved his feet faster along the tabletop and then lifted them up while he coasted. Feeling braver, he bent low over the handlebars and worked his feet still faster toward the edge of the bedside table. When he worked up a little speed, he would coast around the corner. He scrabbled his feet on the tabletop to gain momentum. In a split second, he would steer to the left. At the moment, the bell on the telephone rang, half a ring, so close that it seemed to pierce the middle of Ralph's bones. It rang, just that half ring, as if the girl at the switchboard realized she had rung the wrong room and jerked out the cord before the ring had finished. That half a ring was enough. It shattered Ralph's nerves and terrified him, so that he forgot all about steering. It jumbled his thoughts until he forgot to drag his heels for brakes. He was so terrified, he let go of the hand grips. The momentum of the motorcycle carried him forward, over the edge of the table. Down, through the space tumbled Ralph with the motorcycle. He tried to straighten out, to turn the fall into a leap, but the motorcycle got in the way. He grabbed in vain at the air with both paws. There was nothing to clutch, nothing to save him, only empty air. For a fleeting instant, he thought his poor old Uncle Victor. That was the instant the motorcycle. Here's a picture of him flying in the air off of the side table with the motorcycle. That was the instant the motorcycle landed with a crash into the metal wastebasket. Ralph fell in a heap beside the motorcycle and lay still. Chapter 3. Trapped. Even though Ralph woke up feeling sick and dizzy, his first thought was of the motorcycle. He hoped it was not broken. He sat there at the bottom of the wastebasket until the whirly feeling in his head stopped, and he was able, slowly and carefully, to stand up. He stretched each aching muscle and felt each of his 4 legs to make certain it was not broken. When Ralph was sure that he was battered but intact, he examined the motorcycle. He sat it upright and rolled it backward and forward to make sure the wheels still worked. Here's a picture of him and the motorcycle in the wastebasket at the start of this chapter. He set it upright and rolled it back and forward to make sure that the wheels were still working. One handlebar was bent, and some of the paint was chipped off the rear fender. But everything else seemed all right. Ralph hoped so. But there was no way he could find out until he figured out how to start the engine. Now he ached too much even to try. Wearily, Ralph dragged himself over the wall of his metal prison and sat down beside the apple core to rest his aching body. He leaned back against the side of the wastebasket, closed his eyes, and thought about Uncle Victor. Poor nearsighted Uncle Victor. He, too, had landed in a metal waste paper basket, jumping there quite by mistake. Unable to climb the sides, he had been trapped until the maid came and emptied him out with trash. No one knew for sure what happened to Uncle Victor, but it was known that the trash in the hotel was emptied into incinerator. An incinerator is where they burn trash. We don't have incinerators anymore. Ralph felt sad and remorseful thinking about this Uncle Victor getting dumped out with the trash. His mother had been right after all. His poor mother gathering crumbs for his little brothers and sisters while he, selfish mouse that he was, sat trapped in a metal prison from which the only escape was to be thrown away like the old gum wrapper. Here's an illustration of maybe his uncle being thrown out. I don't know. Ralph thought sadly of his comfortable home in the mouse hole. It was a good home and tidy, but comfortable. The children who stayed in room 215 usually left a good supply of crumbs behind, and there was always water from the shirts hung to drip dry beside the wash basin. It should have been enough. He should have been content to stay home without venturing out into the world looking for speed and excitement. Outside in the hall, Ralph heard footsteps, and Matt, the bellboy, sang, "These new people in 215 and 216, somehow they got the idea there are mice in the hotel. I just opened the window and told them the management wouldn't stand for it." Ralph heard a delighted laugh from the second-floor maid, a college girl who was working for the summer season. "Mice are adorable, but just the same, I hope I never find any in my rooms. I'm afraid of them." There were 2 kinds of employees at the Mountain View Inn. The regulars, none of them young, and the summer help, who were college students working during the tourist season. If you don't like mice, you'd better stay away from the knothole under the window in room 215, advised Matt. The sound of voices so close made Ralph more eager than ever to escape. "No!" he shouted, his voice echoing in the metal chamber. "I won't have it. I'm too young to be dumped out with the trash." And that is where we will end for today. So chapter 3 is called Trapped. I want to hear your predictions. Do you think that he's going to get out? Do you think he's going to stay trapped? What is going to happen? Oh my gosh! Please feel free to put it on our Facebook so your friends can see it, or you can email me. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. Have a great day. Bye.